From blockbuster films to cutting-edge video games, motion capture is shaping the future of entertainment. And today, we're sitting down with somebody who instructs and teaches the next generation how to master it. Jay, a motion capture studio manager at SFU, Simon Fraser University, is joining us today to talk all about the evolving world of mocap, the technology behind it, and how it is changing the way we tell stories in games, film, and even Vtubing? Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Grow Up, Level Up, not Gamers Club, the regular Grow Up, Level Up interview series where we interview and explore how people integrate games and fun into their day-to-day lives. My name is Samson, aka Samson XP, and today I am joined by my Gamers Club show host, Jordan, aka Sir Dr. JM. Hello, Jordan.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well on this fine, sunny spring day. Today we are joined by Jay, a motion capture manager of Studio Seat at Simon Fraser University, and we're going to talk to them all about motion capture, how it's used in games, film, streaming, and what it's like managing a studio today. As we all know, motion capture is really integrated into our day-to-day lives. It helps with animation. It helps immerse us in video games especially. So we're going to talk to Jay all about it right now. Hello, Jay. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. I am doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well as well. And if you are listening to the audio version of this, I really recommend you come over to YouTube because we got Jay live in the Studio Seat VTuber studio. Check it out.
Yeah. So just a quick introduction for myself. My name is Jay. I am the manager of Studio Seat, like Samson said, at Simon Fraser University's Surrey campus at the School of Interactive Arts and Technology. And I oversee our undergraduate production studio and our virtual ambassador, our VTuber program.
Mm-hmm. Well, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us for us to talk about and maybe explore a little bit about what motion capture is. How do you get involved with it? Talk a little bit about your history and maybe tell our audience how they can pursue this kind of art medium and art form. But before we get into the meat of the show, I want to ask you, what did you bring to drink today on the podcast?
Ooh, what did I bring to drink? Okay, hold on first. Let me open it.
Wow.
And that totally didn't just spray across my room. So I have with me unfortunately it's not alcoholic because I think 3 hours of sleep and alcohol is going to make me very cursed. But I'm drinking actually Milk Kiss. So one of those like fuzzy cream sodas.
Ooh.
And today I'm drinking one that's apple flavored. It's very yummy.
Amazing. Yeah, Milk Kiss. It's like a carbonated milk beverage, Jordan. Have you ever seen it?
I did have to Google this and I'm looking. And as a purveyor of milk, of fine milks, I will have to try this.
I think
you do. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I think it's like an Asian grocery store kind of thing. So you might have to hit that up.
Great. Strawberry, banana, melon, peach, original. Wow.
Jordan, I can vouch for apple.
Okay, fair enough.
Ooh, Team Apple. Jordan, what are you drinking on the pod if it's not Milk Kiss?
Oh, I should have been more prepared. I'm drinking a fine tea here.
Very good. And for me, it is almost the weekend, so I got my trusty Sapporo, treating myself today.
Very nice.
Well, cheers, everybody, and welcome to the show again, Jay. Second question I have to ask every guest is, what is your favorite video game of all time?
What is my favorite video game of all time? Okay, I'm going to give a really horrible cop-out of an answer because as a producer and a game dev and a manager, I haven't had time to play video games in a very, very long time. The last really good video game that's etched into my memory is Breath of the Wild.
Oh, okay.
Which is a really easy answer, but yeah, Breath of the Wild. It was a lot of fun. I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild.
To be fair, me neither. I'm waiting for the Switch 2 to play it at a smooth 60.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait for it to be, what was it, $6.99 or something?
Oh, hey, we got deep into it the last 2 weeks with all the prices.
Yeah.
Let's hope it stays at $6.99.
Oh, man, I hope so too.
Well, thank you so much again for joining us all the way from Studio Seat. Does Seat stand for, was it Surrey Interactive Arts and Technology? Was that what it stood for?
Very close. It's the School of Interactive Arts and Technology.
Oh, I was close. So speaking of that, For those unfamiliar with motion capture, how would you describe it in simple terms?
Okay, so motion capture in the most simple terms is you're using technology, using different types of sensors to capture motion data or props or human bodies or creatures and turning that into data that you can manipulate in a different form on a digital screen or a digital computer. So yeah, that's the most simple way of describing it, and there's a lot of different technologies that go into it.
What kind of tools would you use to capture that data usually?
Okay, so this is a really fun question because there's a complex answer and there's a really simple answer, there's a cheap answer, and there's a super expensive answer. So I'll give you a quick rundown of like kind of what kind of tools and technologies. At CIET, we actually have 3 different types of motion capture technologies, spanning from $250,000 to install and to operate, all the way down to $500. So the $250,000 system, highly accurate. You got to be in the studio. You got to have multiple technicians to help you do the motion capture. The medium system that we have, our Rococo system, that is just a suit that uses EMF and IMU-based tracking. It's less accurate, less precise, but you can take it anywhere and you can set it up at home. Yeah, you can do motion capture. And our cheapest system is actually only $500. All it is 6 sensors. It's Sony's mocap system. And that's what we use, our streamers use for our in-home setups. So yeah, that's the kind of technology. And then for face capture, lots of different apps. We use the apps that operate on an iPhone, but of course you can also buy dedicated hardware.
Oh, wow. So it could go all the way from the phone in your pocket right now to the $250,000 multi-array system.
Yeah, actually, there's like so many different entry points depending on the fidelity and the quality of what the artist, of the performer wants to capture. So in fact, what I'm talking to you on right now, you'll notice I don't have hands. I only have my head. I can only move my head. And that's because I'm using a $10, $15 webcam.
Wow, okay.
My home setup, I only have a webcam. So even with just a webcam, you can see I can be fairly expressive. So yeah, you can get into motion capture from, $10 and up. And a computer.
This is wild. I just, of course, I'm Googling things as you say them. And I Googled the Sony mocap 3D motion capture. And here we go. I sent a link to Samson because I had no idea it was like quite literally this simple. It's just like 6 sensors you put on, basically.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And like, for us, it's always a matter of accuracy and, how much fidelity the performance you can get. Right? With these 6 sensors, we do a test called touching tips. Yes, we come up with very crisp names.
Love it.
Because I work with, university kids. And the test is to take your 2 fingers,
right,
kind of in like the finger gun, and then touch the tips.
Right.
So with the face-based system, we can get we can practically regularly and repeatably touch tips. With the Rococo, our intermediate system, not as much. There is some drift. And with the cheapest, the mocap system, unfortunately, it's not super duper accurate. So a lot of it is interpolated data. So if you tried to do like the chicken dance, it wouldn't know what to do with your elbow.
Interesting.
Whereas all the other systems, the medium system will get you, it will know that you're doing that with your elbow. And the high accuracy system will capture like, if you like subtly shrug your shoulders, you'll capture that really subtle detail. So yeah, it's a matter of fidelity.
Interesting. What's like the most common use of this kind of motion capture then? Like we already went through movies, VTubing. What is the most common form of motion capture in the industry, I guess?
I gotta say, ultimately motion capture is a tool for expression, a tool for science, a tool for exploration into different worlds. In terms of application, we've worked at Studio CIET with game clients or game students working with games. We've worked with research for scientific applications, and we've used it for our animation classes. And I would say those kind of 3 things are the main users and main applicants. Can I speak? I don't know if I can speak properly anymore. The 3 main applications for motion capture. So animation in movies, games, and scientific research. So like engineering, biomechanical, capturing body data, stuff like that. Yeah, those are the common applications.
Okay, so not just for video games and TV. It's got more scientific stuff too, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What got you into motion capture in the first place? I feel like it's not a very common industry or art form to look into, but I might be wrong. Yeah. What got you into motion capture?
All right. Allow me to tell a story, kids.
I'm set.
Yep. So really, I started my journey in working in kind of media about a decade ago. I started doing like weddings and events and capturing video. And then when I came to SFU as a student, I started TAing our undergraduate media courses. And when I graduated, I tried to escape the place, and the faculty members were like, please come back and teach more. So I stuck around and occasionally picked up a few classes while I was working as a communicator outside of the school or outside of our program. And during the pandemic, at some point, a faculty member purchased a motion capture setup. And happening in parallel was the director of our program was talking to me about turning some of this underutilized studio space into a production studio. And so like in 2022, some of these conversations were happening. They said, well, let's take these boxes of mocap equipment and put it into the empty studio.
Nice.
And right about then was when I fell into the HoloLive rabbit hole. Do you guys know what HoloLive is?
I'm somewhat familiar, but for maybe somebody like Jordan who is Googling it right now, what is HoloLive?
Yeah, I saw the Google happen. So what is HoloLive? So HoloLive is a virtual idol company. They're one of the largest virtual idol companies. And, they have VTubers, virtual idols, in basically 3 different languages right now: English, Japanese, and in the Indonesian market. And so I fell down the rabbit hole of VTubers. So these are streamers that stream with virtual avatars, like the one I'm embodying now, instead of their physical form. And I fell down that rabbit hole during the pandemic because, we were all locked at home. We were all just like watching YouTube a lot. And all of our social interaction was like super duper parasocial. And, a friend sent me a song and I was like, wow, that's a nice song. Who made that? It's this anime girl named like Mori Calliope. And then she sent me another song. Oh, it's by a virtual idol named Hoshimachi Suisei. And that's how I got into the VTubing side of things. So now, at the same time, this other conversation of motion capture, hey, studio was taking place, I was like, well, we can make that happen. we can do that as a school. And basically 3 years later, we have our own motion capture setup. We have our own motion capture technologies. We teach it in our animation classes. We teach workshops to the public. So folks that are not in the SFU can actually come and learn about motion capture as well. And we help our students kind of make their projects with motion capture.
Okay. Cool. So is motion capture part of the animation course, or is it like its own course that you can take and learn all about?
So there's 2 bits to the answer. So it has been embedded into some of our courses. So like the animation course, and we work with students also from 410 game design, 445 immersive environments to bring motion capture animation into their projects. But we also offer our own workshops to teach people the nuances of motion capture animation. And the reason why it's not fully embedded into one course is simply because there is too much to teach in one course. Sorry, too much to teach to be shoved into another course, but not enough to be its own 3-credit or 4-credit course.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So we have it as a separate workshop that students can take, but it's also open to members of the public who are interested in doing motion capture, learning a bit about the technology behind the scenes, how to work with it.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like kind of an emerging kind of skill set, or with the way that it's not one full course yet. You need to split it off into different smaller courses. I don't know if that's
actually I can send you a link.
Oh sure, I can throw it up for our video watchers here.
Is this the intro to motion capture non-credit course?
Yeah, the IATN 198.
I just totally guessed. I definitely am not already looking at it.
Interesting. So what would be like some of the basics that you would teach, and then what would be some of the advanced stuff that you would teach?
Yeah, so some of the basics. So we actually we start with what is the technology, benefits and strengths and weaknesses of each of the technologies. So that's actually the news article. I can send you the course listing. There's also an ARG there.
Oh,
what I just sent you. There's an ARG there. So ignore the interesting ARG thingy. But So essentially, the different foundations, the technologies behind it. And then what we'll do is we'll actually take you to the motion capture studio. It'll be very hands-on. You'll actually have the opportunity to work with motion capture, direct someone for motion capture. And in future iterations of the course, we're actually hoping to bring in someone with directing motion capture experience to also share that side of things. And once you learn how to plan, prepare motion capture, what technology to use in what applications, then we'll teach you how to apply it, clean it up, make the data look nice and smooth, and then apply it to your end result.
Amazing. And then through this course and through this learning, I'm assuming the students can take this into whether they want to become animators or work on games and movies. Like if you're a CG artist, like this is all stuff that applies to that kind of skill set or that kind of discipline. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had alumnus come through our program, and they're actively working in media. We have some first year, second years who are interested in getting the game design come through. We had a handful of students who are currently taking the animation course come through. And we also had some grad students come through who wanted to use motion capture for their scientific research.
Nice.
They all came through our program. So really it's like a melting pot of different types of users. And they're all here to learn about the technology behind it and how to use it.
That's awesome. What's the most interesting project you've seen so far come out of your experience at Studio Siet?
What is my most interesting project? Oh, that's a dangerous question, friend. I gotta say, the most interesting project and the most exciting thing that we've done with motion capture so far that I can speak of and is publicly revealed, because there are some things that I can't talk about, is our virtual ambassador program, our VTuber program. We have launched our own virtual YouTuber, virtual ambassador program. And yeah, we've auditioned 2 of our students from a pool of from 35 applicants. We successfully auditioned 2 students to be our virtual ambassadors.
For SFU? Or for your program?
For our program, for the School of Interactive Arts and Technology. Unfortunately, I don't have the power to represent SFU, unfortunately.
That'd be a whole different level, yeah.
Hey, if Central Communication is listening, talk to me. Love to collaborate.
I mean, look, this is great marketing for the school right now.
Absolutely.
This is off topic. Is there even a mascot for SFU?
Of course there is. There always is.
Yes, there is, but it's been retired.
Oh.
Yeah, so SFU used to have
the dog?
McFog the dog.
What?
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna Google this.
I'm quick on the Google.
Is this should I pull it up on the podcast or?
I mean, if you want to, it's quite the dog. That's for sure.
I agree, Jordan. It's quite the dog.
Oh my gosh, I'm
Officially
scared.
adopted in '96 and is named in honor of SFU's inaugural president, Patrick McTart Cowan, who is nicknamed McFog. Here he is.
All right.
There's
Woof woof.
I didn't expect this.
Yeah.
There is some. Let's just say there is some fruity furries artists. I'll just leave it at that.
For audio listeners, I recommend you Google McFog the dog.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to, it is a dog costume in a kilt.
A Scottish Terrier in a kilt with a big old mustache.
Yeah.
And a vest.
Yeah, not sure how that relates to SFU. Maybe
Something
there's some
else.
history there.
Yeah. But I think McFog was across the Rainbow Bridge.
Darren,
As an official
I was just gonna
mascot.
say like that would have been a fun VTuber model to make.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing so much about SFU so far and your experience there managing a motion capture studio. I guess my last question around this is if you had some advice for somebody who wanted to pursue a career in motion capture, whether it's like in games, film, or beyond, do you have any advice for them? Like, do you recommend them go into animation, or would you say like lean into games, or is that even a consideration? Can you just purely do a motion capture?
Yeah. So if you're interested, if you're someone who's interested in motion capture, the technology itself is really, really accessible and the applications are numerous. If you're doing like animation or games, you can start right from the technology you have at home and explore with and collaborate with, other folks who have fancier versions of the technology. So it's not a really big investment to get started. In terms of like motion capture, do you need to go to school for it? I represent a school.
Take your school
you
specifically.
don't need to go to school for it.
Oh no!
You can learn it online. But the more bespoke your system is, the more fancy things that you're trying to do. Of course, if you go to school for it, you're going to have a much easier time because you're going to have someone to guide you. But yeah, it's a tool. The sooner you start playing with the tool, the quicker you're going to have a grasp of how to use it. So just like, if you're like an artist or if you're an animator, just get started.
Just give it a try.
Explore.
You're right. You can start with your iPhone, right? Like you said, that has like half the technology in there with, I guess, the Face ID or the LiDAR or whatever.
Face tracking.
Yeah.
Face tracking.
Face tracking.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing about your experience teaching at SFU, or no, sorry, not teaching, managing the studio at SFU and all that. Is there any other final words of wisdom around your experience there that you want to leave for the viewers before we move on to other topics?
Yes. So when you deal with motion capture, it always takes longer than you expect. Because there's also a very common misconception, that people in motion capture will do a performance and it'll be perfect. And the capture data is going to be perfect and it's all wonderful. But the reality is, even though technology has improved significantly over the last decade, you still need to do cleanup. You still need to do prep. You still need to get everything ready. And once it's ready, when you apply it, you'll still need to clean it up, make sure the animation actually looks good, feels good, and is performing the way you want it to. And that all takes time. So yes, it's just like, any art, any craft, it's going to take time for you. So it's very easy to get into, but to do it well, it's going to take time.
It's a skill set. Well, one question I meant to ask earlier, and now we're kind of talking about it. Do you see any emerging technologies in like AI or machine learning that will help with some of that in the next couple years or in the future?
Yeah, actually. So there is a lot of recently in the last, I would say 2 to 3 years, a lot of different vendors and solutions have emerged using purely optical camera-based motion capture. And they often build themselves as kind of like an AI solution to motion capture, but ultimately they all fall under the category of, an optical motion capture system. And yeah, it is very fairly good. The challenges of some of these AI-based systems, though, is, for example, if you're in low light, if something is obstructed. So, for example, if a hand goes in front of another hand, or if someone walks in front of you and obstructs you for a long time, then of course those systems kind of start to struggle. But it has improved a lot, and we're starting to explore that ourselves, because right now we do have kind of optical infrared-based systems and sensor-based systems, but we are also starting to explore and transition into that space.
Oh, amazing.
It's an exciting future. We're in a very exciting time of technology. Scary too.
Yeah.
Especially for artists.
Exactly, yeah. Well, thanks for sharing so much about motion capture so far. I want to move into our next topic, VTubing. Like I said, if you are listening on audio, come over to YouTube, check out the YouTube version, because Jay is joining us as a VTuber. Before we dive into those questions, does your, I don't know, what would you call your persona, your avatar? Do they have a name, or how would I refer?
So I don't actually have a name. So this is just a model that I use because I don't like putting my face on a camera in a meeting. It started during the pandemic. I was like, I should buy a laptop without a webcam. And then people were like, you need to have some representation, so I know you're paying attention. I'm like, no problem.
You're like,
a virtual model it is.
Yeah.
So no, this is just me. It's fairly close to how I'm dressed right now. I literally have a hoodie on. I have my hair in a ponytail. This is just me.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, no, it's amazing how well it works. Like at first, to be honest, I haven't done an interview with a VTuber before. So I was kind of like, oh, is it going to be distracting? But no, it actually works pretty well.
It's fun to just watch, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, sorry, I'm sure you're a very attractive person, but it's fun to just watch and see you react and things like that. Much more interesting than a real person, that's for sure.
Yeah, Wait until I fall off my chair and then it gets really cursed.
Yeah, I bet.
I was going to say, Jordan has to look at me every week.
That's right. So boring staring at Samson's
I
live
got
face.
a cat at least.
True.
Well, with VTubing exploding in popularity over the last few years, like including yourself hopping onto the HoloLive train, how does motion capture technology play a role in bringing VTubers to life?
Well, with motion capture and VTubing, VTubing requires motion capture really to function at its core, because you're taking a human that is behind that character and turning them into that character online. So motion capture really, really is the core of that core technology that drives VTubing forward. And we saw, back in 2016, 2017, we had kind of the first generation of, well, VTubers or virtual avatar streamers. And, they were definitely not nearly as expressive, a lot more stiff, and the models were a lot more rigid. And over time, it's developed a lot more, and it's gotten a lot better. So now, we're seeing folks like Doobie 3D. She's able to do a whole backflip on stream.
Whoa,
What?
really?
That's like, well, in 2017, me would have been like, my mind is blown.
Yeah.
So yeah, motion capture is the core to capture the body, to capture the face, to capture the motion, the emotion, to bring the character to life.
What kind of motion capture is used specifically in VTubing, and then how does it differ from like the traditional ones you would use for video games and TV?
So it's basically the same. So on the low end, you've got people with their phones and their mocap and or their webcams, and even like indie game studios like the one that I work for. Also, we use kind of these simple optical systems and mocap to capture like this rough data. But VTubers, like VTuber agencies like HoloLive, they also have their multi-million-dollar studio to do the highly accurate type of motion capture as well. So really, it's the same technology that's being applied across these different fields, and is customized solutions built for their purpose. Yeah.
Do you see, like, because from home you said you're using a $15 webcam.
Yeah.
Do you see like VTubing technology becoming more accessible in the future? Like companies coming up with their own VTubing products, I guess?
Yeah. So it really kind of, I think it's going to become more accessible. That's for sure. These optical based, purely camera based systems, all you need is a phone, and it doesn't even have to be a great phone from what we've experienced, or even just a webcam feed. If you have multiple webcams, you can actually get fairly decent motion tracking. Of course, not as great as, a full studio, but it's gotten significantly cheaper over time. And AI-based solutions, we've yet to see the full power of that. So yes, absolutely. It's gone from being a multi-million-dollar thing back in the 2010s, where only like Avatar and the biggest studios have access to it. It's gotten a lot less expensive. Folks are able to buy, $2,000, $5,000 home suits, to now we've got mocap and optical fully camera-based systems.
What are some of the biggest challenges that VTubers face with mocap technology, and how do you think the industry is addressing them?
Mocap technology, so to do it well is hard. Getting all of the technology to talk to each other properly, consistently, repeatably is very difficult. I mean, I think that is kind of a barrier to entry, right? So for example, if you're creative, I just want to be able to, turn on OBS and hit go live, right? It's not quite that simple yet, unless all you're doing is like a camera like I'm doing right now, where, it's only one solution. The second you start bringing different pieces of software together, it gets a little more challenging. And having them all work together consistently, it's not 100% things. Yeah.
So all the pieces, it's like software and hardware, trying to make them all talk to each other?
Yeah. So just to give you an example, we have, our highly accurate body system, so our face-based system, the $250,000 system, only captures body and head. So that doesn't do things like fingers and face. So we actually go to a different vendor. So we go to Rococo as our second vendor, and that gives us our fingers and our face. And when we need to bring it together to merge kind of these two technologies, we actually have to develop our own processes to make that happen. Because, some of these applications, like I was saying earlier, the technology is all the same, but the application specific development, that's kind of what makes each user unique. And so we've had to do a lot of that, and I can definitely tell you it is not 100%. There are days when we spend 6 hours troubleshooting why one glove will not stay attached to one hand. We've gotten a lot better at it, and we hope to get a lot better over the summer. As the term's over, we have a bit more time to experiment and test our technology, but that has been and is an ongoing challenge.
So does that mean you do like some programming as well to get Like you have to write your own code to make the software talking between each other?
So there's a lot of established solutions already for some of like the consumer based and the VTubing based stuff. But once you get more advanced, the more precise stuff, yes, there's going to be some programming involved. We've been lucky, myself, I can do a bit of programming. My team, students, and alumni, they also come and help us and develop some solutions, do the research for it. But yeah, if you have a more common system, a system that's more commonly used in industry, then you will have a lot more of these solutions available to you. Whereas, like, for example, our system is a little bit more bespoke. It's less documented. It's less frequently used, especially for like VTubing. Yep, we've had to do some custom work.
What's your take on the future of VTubing then? Like, do you see it merging more with traditional gaming and entertainment industries, or do you see it just being like a really big niche?
That's a really great question. And it really depends on where you are. In Japan now, VTubing has basically become like regular celebrities. They're seen as kind of a part of this entertainment celebrity sphere. But beyond that, we've got VTubers being mascots for cities, museums, teaching, doing concerts, kind of like, all sorts of different roles that celebrities kind of take part in now. Whereas here in North America, they're much more like entertainment focused. You see them largely as like YouTube streamers, musicians, and they haven't quite yet taken on this kind of more universal entertainer role. Although, they've like HoloLive has collaborated with the Dodgers and they've collaborated with Taco Bell. So it's getting there, but it really depends on where you are. Yeah, I think this is just a medium. This is a really, really interesting, amazing medium. And, you can even go as far as saying, the metaverse, right?
Yeah.
Alive or dead is debatable. But the metaverse is kind of exploring in very similar spaces with these virtual presence. And I'm sure at some point, those two things will merge. In fact, HoloLive's parent company, Cover, is kind of sort of working on this metaverse type experience where you can interact in virtual environments with your Oshis, your VTuber, what do you call it?
VTuber,
folks
like
that you follow.
Yeah, your celebrities, I guess.
Yeah, your idols.
One.
There we go.
Your idols. Yeah. Those.
Yeah.
So do you think it's just like a cultural thing? Like, I feel like in Japan, this kind of anime style, I guess VTubers can be any art style, but like this kind of animation thing is more common there than here. That's why it's more accepted there. But yeah, I remember hearing a couple months ago, it was pretty recent, that they did a HoloLive night with the LA Dodgers.
That's right.
It was themed. But that was very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, VTubers can be any kind of animation style. It doesn't have to just be anime. It just so happens that like a lot of the technology and development started off in Japan, and Japan had this idol culture beforehand.
Yeah.
Started really with like Miku, back when we were kids, right? Something like that. And then it really moved over to like these virtual idols like Love Live, right? Like the anime. And then it really moved into, well, VTubers. In North America, we've got really creative VTubers. Like there's an airplane VTuber. There's a cactus VTuber, I know. So your VTuber form can be anything, right? It is just a medium that for you to express yourself in.
I will bring this up. Chatting about it now reminded me of the fact that we did kind of have a mainstream VTuber moment. I'm just going to pull this up on the screen here.
I'm so curious where this is going.
SpongeBob and Patrick
oh my God.
were at the Super Bowl.
That's right.
Like, is this kind of the motion capture technology you guys use? Like, they were SpongeBob and Patrick during the Super Bowl commenting on it.
Yeah. So essentially, I can't
quite
identify what system they're using, but yes, essentially we have a head mount display, a body set. They're using an Xsense bodysuit, and yeah, that's very similar to the systems that we use.
That's amazing. That's funny. It's getting.
I forgot
there.
about this.
It's getting there. It sounds like in North America, just takes a little bit more time. And SpongeBob and Patrick are gonna send
trendsetters. SpongeBob and Patrick.
Yeah, trendsetters.
Amazing.
It's also really cool. North Korea has a VTuber.
What?
Yeah.
North Korea.
Yeah.
I'm
There's a
Googling
North Korean VTuber. It's
My
kind of
search
crazy.
history is just everything about VTubers right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. North Korean VTuber.
I know, it's kind of crazy.
Do you have any final thoughts about VTubing? Are you really excited about where it's going? Is there anything that you want to see happen next for VTubing?
Yeah, so really exciting things, as the culture is getting more widely adapted, as it becomes less and less niche here in North America, we're really starting to see like more events pop up for VTubing. Hololive does their concerts now annually in North America. There is Offkai down in San Francisco, which is like a big VTuber convention, and so it's really starting to grow here, and I really can't wait to see where it's all going and where Studio Seatt's virtual ambassadors can kind of what part we can play in that really interesting space.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, I want to touch on one more thing that you mentioned at the beginning of the show. It's not related to VTubing.
Okay.
But you are also a game designer. Is that right? Like you are working on video games on the side, and that's why you have 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah, so I am kind of a game designer. I'm a game producer, so I manage kind of the production of the game. But I do have my hands very thick in working on the game. Can I talk about it? Should I talk about it?
Yeah.
It's up to you. If not, if you want to keep it.
If you can, I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah. Okay, sure. So I'm a producer at an indie game studio called Narratic Labs, and we're working on our first game called First Person Shouter, where you use your voice to destroy things, and that's our core mechanic. But ultimately, you are a servant to a very normal cat. There's totally nothing weird about this cat at all. It's perfectly normal, and you're trapped with it, and you need to please the cat, and you use your voice to destroy things to help please your kitten overlord. And I'm the producer for the game. I'm also working as a sound designer, so I get to scream a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, so a couple episodes ago, quite a while ago, that was when we first bumped into each other again. I was playing First Person Shouter. For those watching Grow Up Level Up, you can head back to one of our earlier Gamers Club episodes where I talked about my impressions on it. But yeah, it's a really creative idea. I think it'll make for a very fun like stream game. It definitely got a fun reaction out of me, so I'm really looking forward to playing it when it comes out.
Wishlist on Steam now.
Yes, wishlist on Steam now.
All right, I'll put it in this description below, so check it out there. As we close out the episode, Jay, I have two questions that I like to ask all our guests.
Yeah.
First question is really fun, but say Jordan and I, we are now successful podcast hosts. We're bigger than Joe Rogan.
What do you mean now successful?
Even more successful than we are. Even more successful. And we want to fund your dream project. Blank check. What would you make? Can be anything.
What would I make? I think, we've already made a Makoto Shinkai-esque animated trailer, but I would really want to kind of take that even further. I'd love to explore the space between, animated reality and human reality, like the real world around us, and and try to play with like how music can be presented, life experiences and stories can be told. So that's what I would really, really love to explore and bring to the world. And that's not just because I do motion capture, like, since I was a kid, watching these really crazy animated shows that mix reality and animation. It's always, captured me in how it's able to tell stories. And that's the type of project I would like to go and do, or I'll make a VTuber concert. That's the other. That's the simpler answer. That would also be very cool, and it's basically right down that alley.
Amazing. Okay, blending the anime and the real world.
Yeah.
Cool. My last question for you as we close out this episode is, what is your one piece of wisdom you would like to leave with the world?
One piece of wisdom. Okay. Life can be challenging. Doing motion capture can be challenging. Doing homework could be challenging. Being a human could be challenging, but it is important to always stay positive, have good people around you, surround yourself with people with different perspectives, different skills, and that will help you succeed. That will help you be happy. So be positive and surround yourself with good people.
Amazing. Love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Jay, a studio manager at Studio Seat at Simon Fraser University. It was a pleasure having you on and chatting all about mocap. And honestly, I learned a lot from today. I don't know about you, Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
Googling frantically.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you noticed my shirt, Mo Capu, Mo Problems.
I did.
Yes,
now,
that is born from pain.
Can we get that hoodie in real life? Because that is real fun.
But yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us, Jay, and thank you so much for joining us, audience. Jay, if people want to find out more about you or Studio Ciat or whatever projects you're working on, how can they find you? You can shout out whatever you want.
Okay, so how do you find what I've been up to? So if you go to the School of Interactive Arts and Technology's YouTube channel, Ciat SFU, the handle is at Ciat Surrey SFU, you will be caught up to the latest pains I've had with motion capture.
You mean pleasures?
Pains and pleasures. Our virtual ambassadors, Mo and Faye Ayato, they stream usually 2 to 3 times a week.
Oh, cool.
Frequently they stream from home, but things like karaoke, project roasting, things like that, and live interviews. We also do live mixed interviews, kind of like what we're doing now.
Oh, okay.
We do those at school, at the university. So yeah, find us on our YouTube channel. You'll find all of the joys and tears that we've been up to lately. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I'll link it in the description below. And one more time for the audience, what's the name of your game again, and the studio that you work with?
Oh yeah, so the name of our game is First Person Shouter. And you didn't hear that wrong. It's shouter, not shooter, because you shout in first person to destroy things and people. And the name of the studio is Narratic Labs, Narratic.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us,
Yay.
Jay. For those who are listening, if you enjoyed what you heard, please leave a comment below. If you really liked it, leave a thumbs up and share it with a friend. Everything helps support the show and what we do to explore the fun and games that people have in their day-to-day life and how it integrates in them. For Jay, sounds like motion capture, games, VTubing, all this technology kind of doesn't exist in just one part of your life. It's in every part of your life. Mm-hmm. And that's really cool. For me, you can find me at SamsonXP on all the socials, at SMSN on Blue Sky, where I've been chatting and sharing my thoughts in my day-to-day, but easiest place to find me is Instagram. Jordan, where can people find you?
People can find me all over the internet at Sir Dr. J.
Oh, no.
Did you hear that? Did I bump the mic again? Did it come through again?
Yes. So how do you type that?
Yeah. You can find me at Sir Dr. JM. That's Sir DRJM on all socials.
Amazing. And follow at Grow Up Level Up on all the socials for updates on future episodes, as well as other fun announcements. We'll be back next week with our regular Gamers Club episode, and just giving a hint for our special guest for May 2025, it has to do something about everyone's favorite thing, money. So make sure you are staying subscribed for that. Thank you again so much, everybody, and we'll catch you all next time. Bye.
Thank you.